It's Ash from Super Videos back for another video. This is going to be my things you may have missed and Easter eggs for episode 15 of season 7 of The Walking Dead, which was called Something They Need. So let's get right into this. So the first thing, it's actually a hint at Maggie's future leadership position at the hilltop. So Maggie has this conversation with one of the guards at the hilltop, and the guard actually calls her boss lady. So I thought that was a very nice touch, and it's actually a Easter egg, I guess, for Maggie's future arc and what she's gonna do in the future. She's gonna become the leader. And so I thought that was a very cool type of hint slash Easter egg. The next point, so when we have the survivors at the ocean side, when Rick is talking to Netanya, who has Tara held at gunpoint, we have all of the other members of the ocean side kneeling down as if they're in a lineup. And I just thought that was very cool because it's reminiscent of how the survivors were in a lineup. It's cool how there is this parallel scenario because Rick is lining up the members of the ocean side and Negan was lining up the survivors. Now, the reason why they're doing it is much different and the outcome is much different, but the scenario looks the same, which is pretty cool. The next point when Emily, I believe her name was, when she's fighting and killing the walkers, there's one point where she actually kicks one of the walkers in the nuts. The walker falls and then she stabs it in the head. That was very funny because I didn't think that walkers actually felt pain when they were kicked in the nuts. That was just something that was very cool and interesting, so I thought I would put it out there. The next point, when Sasha is talking to Eugene and she basically is crying and saying that I need you to get me a razor blade, a knife, a gun, something so I can end it. She's actually playing because the next shot we get is of her inside the cell and she's not crying, she's actually smiling. So she's basically playing Eugene and hoping for Eugene to bring her some sort of weapon. Of course, Eugene doesn't do that. He brings her pills, which is not going to be useful for Sasha in killing Negan. So she was basically playing Eugene, which is pretty cool. The next thing, which I already talked about in a standalone video, is Negan says that a little birdie told him that Rick and company have some ideas, some crazy ideas, and that they're planning something. So there's two possibilities who the little birdie could be. It could be Gregory or it could be Jadis from the Scavengers community. I think it's more likely that it's probably Jadis from the Scavengers community. And that's what I'm going with for now until I'm proven otherwise. But there's something else I wanted to point out in this video, and that is that if it is in fact Jadis from the Scavengers, there was actually some cool Easter eggs in a previous episode. So if you look back at the episode where they went to the scavenger community for the first time, which was in 7:10, you can see when Jadis takes Rick to the up, as she says, there's this shot of Rick. And in that shot, we see a couple birds flying. And that could have been an Easter egg for the little birdie line from this episode. Of course, in 7:10, when Rick was up on top of the pile of trash, the background was green screen. So the birds that were there didn't need to be there. They inserted those birds specifically. So that means that there may have been a significance to those birds. It may be far-fetched, but I thought that was something that could be looked at as an Easter egg. Now, the other Easter egg, in that specific shot that I just talked about from 7:10, in the background there is a building that looks a lot like the sanctuary. That could also be another Easter egg that comes back into play in this episode, which is the little birdie line or the reveal that Negan has a spy. So that was cool. Then the last point that I have, when Dwight is in the cell at Alexandria, that's actually very cool because it's paralleling not just Daryl being in the cell he was in when he was at the sanctuary, but it's also a parallel to Sasha being in the cell, which happens in the same episode. So it's cool how there's this parallelism going on there. But also there's another point which contains some spoilers from the comics. So if you're not a comic reader, that's basically the end of the video for you, because the next thing I'm going to say is going to spoil things for you, so you don't want to be here for that. But if you're a comic reader, then this is not going to be a spoiler for you. And if you're caught up, of course. So I'm going to put this spoiler alert. So in 3, 2, 1, I'm going to talk spoilers. So in the comics, we know that at the end of All Out War, Negan is put in a jail cell. And that jail cell is exactly the same jail cell as the one that Dwight is in at the end of this episode, 7:15. So that's pretty cool because it's kind of like an Easter egg for what's about to happen. At the end of the war, Negan is going to be in that same exact spot. So that was very cool as well. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll be back for another video.